Nice to be back here again. Thank you for having me. So today my topic is on AI and wholeness, which is a bit of a strange pair of bedfellows. I asked GPT last night, does it understand wholeness? Does it want it? It said no, it doesn't understand it. It doesn't want it. It's irrelevant to it. So, but I think they are very relevant here. And so I'm making a claim that AI will be the instrumental tool in humanity's evolution toward wholeness, both at the individual level as well as the collective level. Furthermore, if that's not wild enough, I'm making another claim, which is that we can all do something about it. Because the prevailing narrative about AI, whether you believe the doomsday scenario or not, is strangely lack of agency, right? I used to, when I thought about AI for the last year, it was almost like we either need to be, almost like lambs either waiting to be slaughtered or ready to be enslaved or to be rescued by the government. I never really want to be rescued by the government. But I actually believe, since working in this field for a bit and trying to program my own small large language model for a few days, and then start investing in the space in the area of spirituality, intersection of spirituality and AI, I came to a very different belief, these two sets of beliefs. One is that AI will be the instrumental tool for us toward wholeness. And second is that we can do something about it, everybody in this room. So let me define wholeness first before we proceed further. I define it at least at 3 different levels. The first level is the integration of the head, the heart, and the belly, the body. And that's, first of all, a very new thing for me, by the way, because I grew up, I think the first 20-something years of my life, I thought I was basically the head. Everything else is carrying the head around and do things. And I remember, I think I spent most of my time simulating to be a human. It's probably how AI feels right now. I remember I was an intern at Goldman Sachs in the summer of 1998. We were taking a company public. Goldman was taking, Ben & Jerry public. And they all have a project name for every project internally to Goldman. So the project name is Project Marble Fudge. So I was on Project Marble Fudge, and everybody was stressed and pants on fire before these IPOs. It's ridiculously busy. And I went into, so we had this issue, I have to call the client, Ben & Jerry, and I walked into this VP's room. I was this lowest level person on the team. And this VP was so calm. He was bantering pick up the phone, started bantering with the client, joking around, and was so relaxed, and it was so friendly and empathetic, and everything got things done so easily, right? When I was waiting there sweating. And I said to myself, I remember that moment, I said to myself, I could do this. I could simulate this. I could learn how to operate like this. Right? And I actually did that for the next 10, 20 years. Until circumstances, teachers, being a father, being a husband, all of those things start to teach me how to integrate those other 2 parts, not just the head, but actually feelings and actually embodied feelings. And took a while to open the heart, took longer to get in touch with the body, even for me. So that's the first level. The second level is that of different parts of us. There's a part of me that I think felt that nobody is interested in me as a child. Nobody really, I'm not interesting, actually, as a child. That's why people were not interested in me. I need to heal that part, right? Integrate that part of me. Another part of me that firmly believes that the only way to get interest, or at least not be excluded, is performance, extreme performance, being number one in math in China, being number one in math in whatever things I do. That was the solution to salvation. And that's another part of me that needs to be taken care of and be grateful for, actually, was not to get rid of. It's to be, so wholeness at another level is to integrate all of those different parts of us. And the third wholeness is a wholeness of that sense that we are part of a larger connected whole. Right? That you and me and everybody on this earth or on this universe, so every living consciousness is part of a larger whole that's intimately connected. Now, talk about these things, you probably start thinking even less like what has AI has anything to do with this, right? It's like completely, AI is actually the opposite of almost this product of a pure mental calculation and analytics and rigor. So let me maybe give you a few examples of what I think the future might look like. And I want to emphasize this future is now buildable. There's no technology barriers to building this today. You don't need GPT-10. GPT-4 is good enough. You don't even need GPT-5. So the first example will be, let's say a father has a lot of rage. Right. Actually, my father had, not anymore, fortunately, had a lot of rage when I was growing up. That was very damaging to myself, my sister, my mother. And he was remorseful at times. And he's a good man. He was a good father to me overall. He taught me so many things. I love him, he loves me. But he had remorsefulness about certain rageful episodes that actually was quite often for a certain number of years because he was suffering so much in the Cultural Revolution in his external life. So he would write down, control my anger all over the home. Like he would put write in Chinese character, control my anger and put it on the mirror here, on the wall here, everywhere to remind himself. Right? If a father like today or next couple years has these issues, I'm quite sure it will be a very possible thing to build where a watch or a pendant will be listening and start vibrating in the middle of that rageful episode. And then you pick up the phone or whatever, maybe your earphone or glass will show up, with projection on your retina or whatnot. That's a little bit further in the future, but it's not that far. That says, hey, let's say David, like I noticed your heart rate is elevated, right? Your blood pressure is this level. You just said this. I suspect you are very angry. Right? And I suspect you feel this other party entirely deserve your anger. Right? You have every right to be so. But also I want to remind you that your New Year resolution that you told me about, right, was to control your anger. Right? So why don't you take 3 breaths, which is what you asked me to remind you. Right? Take 3 breaths. Get in touch with this anger, not at a mental level, but at the body level, feeling whatever you feel in the body where the anger comes from. Becoming aware of this anger instead of reacting to this anger, being reactive. Right? You can go from there. You can imagine, and it draws this person into a place of presence and connection with his different parts, with his body, right? And maybe with the other party. That's one example. Another example, you'll be in the middle of drafting an email through Gmail to a colleague and accusing the colleague of, you're just so not contributing. I did all these things, you don't appreciate it, and you're not doing carry your part, blah, 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 blah. Right? As you continue typing, the prompt will start showing like there will be little air box to say, hey, I know this, da, 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 right? And I think your need here, let me guess, is you want to be seen. You want to be seen for your contribution. You want to be appreciated. No, I know that you're interested in nonviolent communication. That's something you've been studying, right? Can we use this to practice, right? And here's a dialog box. You can practice doing this with me, the 4 steps, get in touch with your needs and feelings and what is exactly your request is. Let's make sure you get what you want, right? So what is specifically your request is for this other person, right? So this 4 steps, those people who are familiar with MVC will know what I'm talking about. So that's another example. Right, the third example will be, let's say 1 a.m., you just had a fight with your best friend, you think you're right, and she's totally wrong, right? But you're like, but I really hate this, right? So you pull up an app, that's probably not ChatGPT actually, which I'll talk about later, so you start talking about it. Say, oh, who's right, who's wrong, right? And then this whatever app will start giving you advice and how to think about it and all that kind of things, right? Using MVC, using mindfulness, whatever it is, that's actually tools available. So all of these are buildable now, right? So if you think about the initial people go, why AI cannot do this? People assume like somehow AI needs to understand this and grasp this. AI doesn't. My understanding is based on how large language models are architected, they don't even grasp 1 + 1 = 2. They don't actually have a conceptual cognitive grasp of that concept. They don't. Certainly they don't grasp what wholeness is about. But just like a mirror creates enormous amounts of self-awareness, right? Imagine before mirror and after mirror. It changes how you look at yourself and the world and everything. Mirror doesn't have to be very smart. It's a completely dumb piece of metal and chemicals, right? So AI can do a lot more than that. And these are just 3 examples I can think of. There's so much more. Now, unfortunately, it's not all a rosy picture. You could have the AI programmed to give you advice based on your best self, based on a beloved teacher like Jack Kornfield, right? Or you could have AI that's programmed to give you advice like Machiavelli. How do I get the most power for myself in the world? And how do I convince everybody I'm right? Right? And it's going to be a choice that we will have to make. And all the choice will be made for us. Think about gene editing. I think AI gene editing, unfortunately, is being tightly regulated, and the tools are expensive to get. Not everybody can do it to themselves, right? Clearly. But AI can be now used by everybody very soon to reprogram their behavior, their structures, their patterns, their behavior. I think that's somewhat happened already today. You're just not aware of it. And even before AI, there was Facebook and social media that already is programming you, right? But very, very blunt tools of more engagement. Now the tool is 1,000 times more powerful and more nuanced. But the good news is I believe we will have the ability to make a choice to program ourselves. And that's where the intention really comes. What's our intention for each one of us? Do I want to get more power? Do I want to convince everybody that I'm right? Or do I want to ultimately long-term think about being happy and fulfilled and joyful and peaceful, but while enduring maybe short-term discomfort? Because sometimes letting it go and letting out, like rage or whatever, is more comfortable. Right? The other way takes more effort. And my belief is the foundation models like ChatGPT or GPT or the other 3 or 4 foundational models will be like utility. They will have everything. They will have all the knowledge in the world. But the wisdom and the intention, you will have to be enabled by products people will build on top of it, and then each individual will have to make a choice. And the divergence of that choice is enormous, that I think that if majority, maybe even minority people make the right choice, humanity will become whole, will become more and more the evolution of their own consciousness toward the positive direction of wholeness. But if we are not aware, we will be programmed for us, or we might set the wrong intention to program ourselves in a certain direction that's short-term gainful and long-term loss. So I guess I'm here to talk about this. In conclusion, is to encourage all of us think about this as an incredible opportunity for us to all become whole. And for those builders among us, you could build things today that will give people that choice. That choice the model will have to be given to people for people to make the right choice so that we could enable the whole of humanity and the wholeness of humanity to flourish. So, thank you.